Good morning and welcome to Morning Scoop for Monday, December 13th. This is your daily Buckeye fix. I'm Tom Orr. The Rose Bowl game against Utah in 19 days, the game against Michigan in 349 days. The Buckeyes just keep getting more fuel for that next Michigan game pretty much every single day at this point. The most recent example came Saturday night during the Heisman Trophy ceremony. Buckeye Scoop's Kevin Noon was there to cover the ceremony. He joins me this morning. Kevin, thanks for being here.
Absolutely. No rest for the wicked.
Yeah, yeah, it's those trips are always real fun until you have a 6 a.m. flight or one of those deals. So yeah, glad you could stay up to be with me. And in case you missed it, in case you were not watching the Heisman on Saturday night, here's what happened during a segment before they announced the winner. Michigan defensive end Aiden Hutchinson said the exact quote: "The main mission was to come back and beat Ohio State, win a Big Ten championship." That in of itself, yeah, absolutely. The crowd, some of the people there kind of started hooting, like, oh boy, because it's like, oh, CJ Stroud standing there right next to him, and Hutchinson kind of gestured to Stroud. Like, it was just, to me, it felt very much like a, yeah, sorry, buddy, kind of thing. Like, nothing malicious there. Tim Tebow makes a joke about how it's good that Kenny Pickett is standing there between them, like he's going to break up a fight or whatever. And then Desmond Howard says, quote, better than his offensive lineman. That didn't go over real well on Twitter, but you were there. You were not in that room, but you were in the media room kind of nearby. So what was the reaction there from people covering the event?
I think it depends on what market you cover. If you were there to cover Aiden Hutchinson, oh yeah, that's great. If you were there to cover Ohio State, maybe some jeers. If you were there to cover Bryce Young or to cover Kenny Pickett, I think that's the middle. We don't know exactly where their allegiances were. I mean, I had a couple people that I was talking with who were like, "Oh, can you believe that?" I mean, why is Desmond popping off? I'm like, well, Michigan guy or whatever. It's like, what did he have to do with this game? I said, well, he probably had on the biggest Michigan underoos of anybody, but it was pretty ridiculous in my opinion. I'm not one who's like, well, Ohio State's going to have this on permanent loop forever and ever. They're not playing against Desmond Howard. They'll be playing against Michigan. And how many days again? You said it in the intro, 300 and how many days?
349. It's almost here, Kevin, right around the corner.
349 days. But, I mean, yeah, it had some people pretty salty about it. And, you know, Ohio State has had Michigan's number for a long time here. And you don't hear Kirk Herbstreit or Joey Galloway or any of the various Ohio State former players who are now in sports media popping off like that. So I thought it was kind of a bad comment. Whatever. It is what it is, but yeah, I don't know. I just thought that was not the time or the place at the Heisman Trophy ceremony doing that, but what do I know?
Yeah, I have been pretty much on board the last couple weeks with like, yeah, I mean, you won the game, talk as much as you want, but just recognize that this might come back to you in a year or so. But yeah, I am always in favor of a little back and forth, a little bit of extra heat. Just gives us a little more stuff to talk about. So there was a certain professionalism. Like I'm not ever going to be someone who logs onto Twitter and talks about how it's classless, but it's like that was probably not the time and place to be doing that, to drop a sick burn on CJ Stroud as he's there to be honored for a fantastic season. So yeah, that was one that was kind of like, huh, that was a choice right there. Um, you know, but this is the rekindling of the Cold War between Ohio State and Michigan, where Michigan has just sort of been this lifeless corpse for the last 10 years, and Ohio State just goes and beats on them once a year, and then the cycle begins anew again. But now Michigan has arisen, and they're back, and they're a little feisty, and they're a little salty. And Ryan Day and Jim Harbaugh were in the same room on Saturday night. And did you get any sense? I mean, did you get any sense for whether they interacted at all? Did you get a chance to talk to anyone who had any sense for if they interacted at all at any point during the night? Because I mean, from the quotes that we hear, from the stuff we hear behind the scenes, you get the sense this is not like a stage thing. This is not like a wrestling heel versus face thing. Like,
Yeah, this isn't a shoot. This
sort of
isn't a
get the sense
work.
these two
Yeah.
guys really, really care for each other.
No, Ryan Day was sitting right there. Jim Harbaugh was in his seat. Ryan Day wasn't on third base or anything. They didn't go out and have a shot of milk or have some nervous bird chicken or anything else. I don't think that the two really care for each other, and that's fine. I mean, I think that adds to it. We see plenty of coaches that don't necessarily get along, and life goes on. I mean, you look at Nick Saban. Unfortunately, half of the coaching roster out there in major college football all coached at Alabama under Nick Saban. So, maybe there isn't that there. But I mean, I certainly think that there are coaches that don't get along with Nick Saban. I certainly think that there are coaches that don't get along with James Franklin or Pete Carroll back in the day. So it is what it is. But yeah, Ryan Day came in, on the private jet, been out on the road recruiting. National Signing Day is going to be here before you know it. I'm sure that Jim Harbaugh was doing the same type of thing. They both pop in, they do their thing, and then went their separate ways. I'm sure that they're not Christmas cards being exchanged. I'm sure that they're not going to give each other anything in a Secret Santa type of setup. And we'll see. But Michigan sure is popping off a lot for a team that is going to be graduating or losing to the draft a great deal of its known talent. And I get it. Michigan was unranked going into the season, and they all of a sudden became what they were. But we'll see. We'll see how they look without names like Aiden Hutchinson, who finished second in the Heisman, David Ojabo, Hassan Haskins, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I am absolutely delighted for a year of real, genuine hostility between these two programs, and not just sort of looking back at the past and remembering the past. Like this feels like we are going to have a real, honest to goodness, hatred-filled rivalry again, which is that's how this is supposed to be. It was getting a little complacent in the last few years. I think a generation of Ohio State fans are sort of rediscovering the Michigan game again, which is I mean, I know Ohio State fans are not thrilled right now about a lot of stuff, but like, man, I think this is going to be a lot of fun the next year. Something else that looked like a lot of fun when we go on the road, we do a Scoop Eats segment. You were in New York. When I saw where you went, I honestly, it's a place I've been before. I was a little jealous. Let people know what you had and where they can find that segment.
Yeah, you can find it over on YouTube on the Buckeye Scoop channel. It's on the sub channel of Scoop Eats, where we have other visits of where we got. Let's see, we went to Buffalo's in Bloomington. We went to Are You Hungry in Piscataway. I hear a rumor there may be a steak one coming up here pretty soon where we can sit there and mock Tony Gerdeman, who's not here to defend himself. So this is the best time to say that, and some of his life choices when it comes to steak. But I went to, since I was solo guy on this trip, to John's of Bleecker Street, which is a fantastic coal-fired pizza.
Mm-hmm.
I got something called the Johnny Gambino, which I believe was ricotta, basil, sausage, and peppers. And it was fantastic. It was really good. The hardest part was shooting most of it by myself. I was with another writer who I did coerce into holding the camera while I took a bite of the pizza and shoot my outro. But really good pizza. I mean, I hear all the, oh, New York pie's this, New York pie's that. And I've had New York pie, but it'd been 20 years. And, it was a great reminder of how solid it is. I'm still not going to give up my loyalty to Chicago pie. Call it a casserole. I don't care. But John's of Bleecker Street was fantastic. Hewlett Buckeye on Buckeye Scoop. Big shout out to you for the recommendation. Had several others say, oh, yeah, that's the place to go. But as you saw on the Ask the Insiders board, most of that thread was about, no, you should have gone here. No, you should have gone there. And, I expect that. I mean, everybody's got a favorite. So I hope to go back at some point and go do a pizza walking tour, because that would be pretty fantastic.
Yeah, and a previous job, I once did a segment where we did, you remember the Seinfeld bit of famous Rays and original Rays and famous original Rays. We went to as many of those different ones as we could do and had a piece at all these different places. So that was a little different. Maybe we'll do that at some point if we're back from Rutgers in a couple of years, something like that. When we do go back to New York, I feel like there's a pretty good chance Ryan Day will still be the head coach of Ohio State. But if you check twitter.com on Sunday, once again, Ryan Day, the Chicago Bears, now his agent's involved. Maybe his agent's going to get a job with the Bears too. I mean, I feel like this is just like the record keeps skipping and we just keep getting stuck in the same spot, and Ryan Day keeps saying the same thing and nothing ever comes of it. But okay, the fourth time that we're running back the Ryan Day to the Bears thing, do you put any more stock in that this time? Because this time his agent may have a front office position or something.
Right, and his agent Trace Armstrong came out and had a denial on Twitter, and we know that Twitter denials are rock solid. I mean, nobody's ever gone to Twitter and said, I didn't do this, only to find out that they did do this, but I'm not putting a lot into this. And I think that honestly, the biggest thing that's going to help put this to bed is going to be when Ohio State signs Ryan Day to that next contract, to that extension, to that rework deal. We're seeing coaches out there make significantly more money. I mean, as we talked about in previous shows, and I know Tom and Tony have about the Jim Knowles hire, 1.9 million there on a 3-year deal. The cost of business is getting higher and higher, and I mean, I know that Ryan Day is going to want to make sure that that assistant pool of money is going to be good, but as they said in a poker movie, pay that man his money. I think that it's time to pay that man his money, and I think that'll be coming soon. But of course, it's just fantastic that it's coming out once again here, just 3 days and 4 days ahead of National Signing Day. I think that the staff knows how to kind of explain that away. But I think it is what it is. It's better to be wanted than not wanted.
Yeah. And so your Rounders shout out is much appreciated as someone who spent a lot of time watching basic cable in the early 2000s. That Mike that movie did not go great for Mike in the first half. He had an unfortunate time in Teddy KGB's poker room, and someone else who is not having a very good time right now in his own version of Teddy KGB's poker room is Urban Meyer. Holy Moses, Urban Meyer, what baby, what is you doing? There was an article on NFL.com this weekend that was real not flattering, and the most important part of that sentence, if you do not do journalism yourself, is on NFL.com. This was not TMZ Sports. This was on NFL.com. People going on the record to tell everyone how terrible Urban Meyer has been this season. Not great. Just lost to Mike Vrabel in Tennessee, 20-0. They're now 2-11. You're seeing some of those old post-loss Urban Meyer expressions. If you covered Ohio State or you remember watching Ohio State press conferences after losses, you're seeing that same Urban Meyer just kind of lost face. What can he pull out of this, or is this? I mean, this is, Lou Holtz. When Lou Holtz went to the NFL, he went to coach the Jets. He was there for 1 year and then went, this is not it. This ain't it, and went back to college. Is Urban Meyer going to be one and done with the Jags?
He's in that flat spin from Top Gun right now. I don't think that there's
Mm-hmm.
any way to be able to pull out of it at this juncture. I said that 6-11 might be the high water mark for him this season. I better win out if I'm going to be right on that. If they're sitting at 2-11, he's not enjoying it. The handshake with Vrabel was the one of the worst flybys that I've ever seen, as they just ships passing in the night. Even if you only take a third of what was in the NFL.com's article for being like real, since there are three sides to every story, I mean, it's still not good at this point. I don't know how Shad Khan's going to be able to continue with them. I mean, I'm already seeing articles at this point of who could step in the interim if he just, if Khan moves on from him, or if Urban says to heck with this, or whatever happens. But I don't know how you come back at this point where, if you call your assistants losers, and you get into a fight with one of your best players, and we talk about the Jets, sorry, but we talk about the Jets being kind of a graveyard of quarterbacks or whatever. Have you heard anything good about Trevor Lawrence this season, period, other than good hair? And I mean, I'm just jealous of anybody with hair, but I mean, it's just a horrible situation there. I can't imagine that it's all that enjoyable. He has plenty of money in the bank. I mean, I would probably make them fire me than quit, just so I can try and get some of that delicious contract money. But I don't know. I don't know how Jacksonville can be viable with him as head coach moving forward into 22.
Yeah, it just looks, there was a way this would really work out, but there was also when they went through when they were kind of talking about hiring him, there was like, boy, I don't know how he's going to handle not having total autonomy over players and not being able to just sort of around and having players who are making more money than him, and it was like, boy, there's a way this goes badly, and it's like all of that last scenario. That's just what it's been this year. It has been bizarre to watch, but Nick Saban was not a great pro coach. Lou Holtz was not a great pro coach. There are guys who do it well. There are guys who don't do it well.
And not
Urban
many
Meyer
do it
maybe,
well. The Pete
yeah,
Carrolls of the world are the outliers.
yeah, yeah. Those are college coach and pro coach are kind of separate skill sets in a lot of ways, which sounds crazy, but there's a lot of soft factors involved there that sometimes just don't translate from one level to the other, and it seems like it's just not translating there. You are going to be doing a new episode of Big Me Kickoff coming up a little later on Monday. We were talking about it before. It sounds like it should be really a fun episode. What can people expect on that episode?
Yeah, I'm still refining it at this point. So even things that Tom and I may have talked about in our pre-show interview may or may not make the show, but I want to talk about the experience of covering the Heisman. I've been credentialed there before, but this is the first time I've made the trip. I'll complain about how expensive Ubers are in New York. I'm sure that'll all come out there in the wash. My $19 Manhattan at a hotel bar. I'm going to look at the 2022 Heisman race, at least from an Ohio State perspective. Who do you back? If you can only have one candidate, we saw Alabama with a couple, but one was a defensive player, and kind of know how that goes. But is this another campaign for C.J. Stroud? Does maybe Trevion Henderson step into that role? We'll kind of look at how that might work out. I think I got a couple other surprises along the way. We'll just see. I think that the great thing about, especially the Monday or Tuesday, depending on which day I do it, Big Me Kickoff, is I don't really go in with a script. I don't really go in with a plan. Generally, it works out. Sometimes I'm sitting there 4 minutes in. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about, but I think I've got a good idea this week.
Yeah, I've covered the Heisman before. It's very different to cover it in person because what you experience as a media person is not at all what you see on TV. So it is that'll be worth listening to when Kevin drops that. You can find Big Me Kickoff wherever you listen to the Morning Scoop, wherever you listen to Buckeye Weekly. Just search Big Me Kickoff, search Buckeye Weekly, Buckeye Scoop, any of that'll get you there. Just subscribe to Big Me Kickoff, and you'll get notified as soon as Kevin drops that episode. That should be a good one. And as he mentioned earlier in the episode, Wednesday is early signing day. It is going to be a busy week for recruiting. We'll probably be talking about that a little bit this week. Plus, there's Rose Bowl preparations going on. Ohio State, now that Ryan Day and C.J. Stroud are back on campus, Rose Bowl preparations are going to start ramping up a little bit this week as the Buckeyes get ready to play Utah. Should be a lot of stuff to talk about this week. And boy, that Rose Bowl trip is only 2 weeks away. 2 weeks from today, the Buckeyes will be at Disneyland in lovely Southern California, getting ready, hitting the ground running for their Rose Bowl trip. So that's getting close. Should be a lot of fun stuff to talk about. So make sure you check out all those podcasts I mentioned earlier. Also, make sure you check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Buckeye Scoop. You can subscribe right there, hit that bell. That way, when we do a live show, Kevin and Tony and I, or Tony and I, or Kevin and I, or some combination thereof, you can watch that live, ask us questions, all that fun stuff. Those shows are always a lot of fun, but they're even more fun when we have lots of people watching. So just hit that bell, subscribe, and you can be a part of that fun as well. That'll do it for today. Thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.